So how many of you have been told at some time or another, I guess you think you're God's gift?
All the time.
I guess you think you're God's gift. I guess you think you are God's gift. Well, guess what? You are. This is a season and a time in which many people in many places will be celebrating what we recognize as Christmas, and they will talk about God's gift. And that's part of the story. Because an important part of this story includes each and every one of you. And it's important to understand that the Christmas story, that when we talk about it and we talk about the idea, and there are some very old and ancient understandings and ideas that are part of this. And a part of the understanding here is that God imbues and endows each of us with talents and gifts and abilities that in fact make you God's gift. So the next time, and I'm not talking about from a perspective of ego, but the next time somebody tells you, well, I guess you think you're God's gift, you say, I am, because you are. Now, a lot of times, though, people feel as if they can't quite see themselves exactly as a gift, because there's sometimes that there are things about ourselves that we don't feel are quite like they ought to be. And so I think the first thing we need to do to get this gift ready and to get the gift prepared, because you all know how when this time comes around and we are working on gifts and giving gifts, and we want to get just the right gift, we want to get just the right wrapping paper, and now a lot of people stick them in gift bags and all of those things. But however, whatever it is that you give, we want to get it just right. So the first thing that I think we need to do is to appreciate that when we find ourselves in places in life that we are not exactly where we want to be, is to gain the understanding about the difference between a stop and a step. A stop and a step. If you find yourself not where you would like to be, realize that it's only a step. A lot of people confuse it with a stop. And they think that, oh, I'm here and I really would like to be doing something differently with my life. I would really rather be in another place. I would really rather have things going on different from they are right now. Understand that you don't have to be defined by that. Understand that this is not the final place. Understand, and I don't care how old you are, how young you are, what your past experience might have been, none of that matters, because we are God's gift, and because we have the creative power and aspect of the universe available to us, that any moment we make the decision to change our mind, to change our thinking, to change our perspective, to change our understanding, that when we reach that point and we operate from that point, then that what seems to be a stop turns into a step. A step meaning that there's another move. A step meaning that there's another thing that we can do. A step meaning there's another place to go. A step meaning that we can move up higher. So many people get caught up in thinking that this is a step. I was born here. I was born in these circumstances. I got this stuff in my past. I've got these things going on. It doesn't matter. The universe, we always say, principle is not bound by precedent. That's something that we use, and it's true. It means that no matter what you might have done in the past, you don't have to be defined by that. Even those good things, because a lot of times, you know people who stay stuck in their accomplishments, and they've done some things in their life, and they will continue to tell you about it, and 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 30 years later, they're still telling you about what it was that they did way back 30 years ago. It's time for a new perspective. It's time for fresh opportunities. Yes, celebrate those things, but also know that there's so very much more. That we live in a vast universe and you don't have to be defined. The other night we were watching the show on television called The Prophet. And that particular show is about a man who is a multi-millionaire. He may even be a billionaire, Marcus Lemonis. And what he does is that people who have dreams, he helps to finance their dreams. And he makes money available to them. He uses his business knowledge to help them get established or move up in their business. He does all of these things for people. And as we watched the show, there was a woman and her son. The little boy was 13 and he had made cookies. He had cookie recipes that he made. The cookies were fresh. They were made from all natural ingredients, organic things, all of that. And they were working with him to take his business to the next level. His mother, unfortunately, her life experience she had been through the foster care system, from family to family to family. She had been abused in some of the houses that she lived in. She had been homeless for a period of time. She had all of these, if you will, strikes against her. And as they were moving through the process to build her business and to build her son's business, every step she would bring up her past and talk about how she couldn't trust people because of what people had done for her in the past. And here we were watching her that had a golden opportunity where this man was saying, it doesn't matter about the past. Do you trust me? She said, well, I don't know. He said, I can't take that away from you, but you have to learn to trust people. And things continue, but every step of the way, she would point back to what had gone wrong. And finally, as they got to the end of the show, and she started to accept and to believe, then things began to happen for this woman and her son. And a part of what I saw in that was that she had defined the things in her past as a stop. And she had gotten stuck there, stuck in that stop. Those are things you can learn from, but they don't define who you are. And so when you learn to give the gift, your gift, the gift of who you are, and get it prepared, you move beyond the stop and you step up to the next level. The next thing I think that is important to get the gift in shape is the F word. F word. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. I'm keeping it in your family. Forgiveness. Now that's a subject over the years as a minister is one of the hardest things for people to really comprehend and to deal with. Because forgiveness, for many people, they think that forgiveness means that you condone someone else's bad behavior. And that's not what we're talking about. There are people who, unfortunately, who don't live in integrity with themselves and with who they are and with the God source within them, that will do things to us, that will cause things to happen, that will create situations and circumstances. There will be people that will just start mess and get you caught up in mess and continue to be hurtful and deceitful and lie and do all of those things, and all of that happens. And I'm not taking away from anyone's experience, because all of us have had that experience. But there comes a point where we have to forgive. Again, forgiveness is not condoning. I'm not saying that what that person did was all right. And part of the thing of it is, sometimes when it comes to forgiving, it also means that we may never do anything or have anything to do with that person again. But forgiveness is for ourselves. It's for our sake. Because when we don't forgive another person, what happens is we continue to carry around the energy and the memory of what happened. And I don't know about you, but as I find that as I'm defining and refining my experience here, I don't have time for people who have done me wrong to continue to live rent-free in my mind. I've got other stuff I want to do. And I'm sure that all of you all do as well. And so a part of it is then, if we let those things go and let those people go, we can move on. And the thing of it is you might say, well, it's hard and you don't understand and they did this to me and all of that happened. Again, I am not minimizing it in the least bit. But when we learn to turn to that place within that allows us to forgive, we can move beyond. We may not have anything to do with them anymore, as I said, but we can move on to the next level. Again, it's not a stop, it's a step. And when we do that, things happen. I mean, I know that there have been times in my life where I have not forgiven a person and I've been upset with them, and when I find out that I'm going to go a place, they might be there, and so I don't go to avoid them, or if I go there and they're there, I'm standing around miserable because they're there. What kind of life is that? I'm going to let somebody else control my happiness, my sense of well-being. So if I'm sitting here and a person that I haven't forgiven walks in the room and I've been having a good time, and all of a sudden they walk in the room and I let that presence, I let that experience spoil my whole experience now. Take enough control and responsibility for yourself to forgive. And a part of forgiveness is grace. Because the ultimate person that we have to forgive is ourselves. You have to forgive you. You hear me say all the time, give yourself some grace. Say that with me. Give yourself some grace. And what grace means this is my definition of grace. That you made the best decision that you could in the moment, given where you were. You made the best decision in the moment, given where you were. Because as the Talmud reminds us, we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. And when it comes to relationships, for example, in the moment, that person looked good. They said all the right things. They did all the right things. We thought that was it for us. And then as we had that expression of delayed enlightenment, when we ask ourselves the question, what in the world was I thinking? And everybody else might have tried to tell us, hey, but our nose was so wide open, we were so someplace else. Give yourself some grace. Understand that. Understand that there were lessons to be learned. There were things that you gained from that. Bless it and let it go. Give yourself some grace. And when we learn the difference between a stop and a step, when we learn to employ forgiveness, not only with other people, but forgiveness with ourselves, we are getting the gift ready. God's gift. And then the third thing that we do is we take this gift and we love on this gift. We allow ourselves to know that we are loved and we are loving, that we are in the divine flow, that we are already good enough. Now we can change our hair, we can change the way that we look, we can change the way that we talk, the way that we dress, all of those things. But ultimately, right as we are good enough. We spend so much time chasing other ideals that are put out there to make us feel inadequate without recognizing that just like you are, you're already good enough. And when you can say that, feel that, when you can get in that vibration of understanding that I am the expression of the divine, unique and individualized. I am God's gift. I have all of this that is within me that is oftentimes still waiting to get out. I've got some of it out already. I've got this going in my life. I've had this happen for me. But there's so much more that I have to offer the world and to offer the universe. So much more. And the thing of it is that oftentimes you move into a situation or a circumstance and you begin to realize that you are the one that you have been waiting for. You are the one that you have been waiting for. You've been looking all out there at all those other people and all of those other things to make it right, to get it right, to be right, and to do right. And ultimately, you are the one that you have been waiting for. And the universe has been patiently waiting and guiding and directing and whispering in your ear and bringing people in your life and bringing experiences in your life and making things happen, and it's lifting things up. And you have been there, and you are the one that you have been waiting for. And the universe has continued to say, go, go, go. I got your back. I got your back. And one of the spiritual expressions, it talks about in nature how every blade of grass, flower, has an angel that is over it whispering, grow, grow, grow. In the same way, we have this expression of energy and of love and of giving and of being that is saying to you, grow, 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 go, 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 be. Be. And in the end, when somebody says, I guess you think you're God's gift. You say, yes, I am. I am God's gift. I am unlike any other gift that has ever been and ever will be. I am unlike any gift imaginable. I am unlike any gift that otherwise could possibly be. I am God's gift. I am God's gift in expression. I am creative. I am powerful. I am knowing. I am loving. I am giving. I am forgiving. I am in this place where I am God's gift. Just let me unwrap myself. Don't visualize that. And just be. Because so you are. And so it is. I really can't stay.
It's cold outside.
I've got to go away.
It's cold outside.
This evening has been
Hoping that you drop.
so very nice.
Give me your hands, they're cold as
My mother will start to worry.
Please
My
don't
father will be pacing the floor.
listen to the fireplace.
Really, I'm their skirt. Maybe just to have a drink more.
Listen records while I
Neighbors might think,
baby, it's bad out there.
say what's in this drink?
Cabs to be had.
I wish I knew how
Eyes are like stars.
to break the spell.
Give me your hat, your hair looks so
I got to say no, man. At least I want to say that I tried. I really can
Oh,
say,
baby, don't hold out.
baby, it's cold outside. I really just go.
Baby, it's
I really must go.
Baby, you freeze out there.
The answer is no.
Up to your knees out there.
Your welcome has been
Thrilled when you touch my
so
hand.
nice and warm.
How can you do this thing?
Talk tomorrow.
My life on the
At least I will be playing in the light.
You caught me moving your head.
I really
Yeah, all that.
baby, it's cold
Oh, I invite you to take a breath, releasing this breath, knowing that there is only one power and one presence in the universe, and that is God. And as each of us embodies all that we have learned today, we take it in, we make it our own, and we simply live from those very truths. We give thanks for the lesson, the beautiful music, the centering moment, the affirmative breathing, and just all of the beautiful energy that each and every person has brought into the space and into this place today. And knowing, as I move forward, that a stop is not a stop. It's actually a step, something that pushes me forward, knowing that there's something better, something greater, that there is a lesson that I have learned. Knowing that on this journey that some things and people might have kind of got me in a wad, but there's this thing called forgiveness. There is something called grace. And it's not for the other person or the situation. It's for me. So that when I let go and I release all of those things, that I can step back into the beauty and wonder of all that there is. And knowing that on this journey, there are going to be some that say, you must think you're God's gift to the world. And guess what? I am God's gift to the world. I enjoy being God's gift to the world. And I relish all of the gifts that I was given to share with God's world. I am God's gift to the world. So I release myself out into the beauty and wonderfulness of it all. Releasing, letting go, and letting God. And so it is.